Hello and welcome to Passing Priority. My name's Mike and today I have a deck that's finally been able to work its way to the maze's end with help of the best guide in the multiverse. Golos Tireless Pilgrim is a 5 mana legendary scout that, while costing no coloured mana to cast, has a colour identity of all 5 colours thanks to its activated ability. We can spend 2 on 1 mana of every colour to exile the top 3 cards of our library. Then we may play those cards without paying their mana cost. A very colour intensive ability, but thankfully on entering the battlefield, Golos will fetch any land from our deck and put it on the battlefield tapped. It's this land fetching ability we're planning to use in this deck, because we are not planning to win with an army of creatures or casting big X spells to kill our opponents. Our plan is to venture into the implicit maze of Ravnica, beat the other runners and emerge victorious at the maze's end. Maze's End gives us a way to win the game without relying on damaging our opponents. This land taps for just colourless mana, but the cost of 3 mana, tapping itself and returning to our hand can search our library for a gate card and put it on the battlefield. Then if we control 10 or more gates with different names, we win the game. The deck we have today tries to fall on a lower power scale than a typical Golos deck normally would, and uses some of the original Gate synergy cards from across the Ravnica blocks over powerful staples to try and provide a more casual power level. Before we start our deck, let's take a moment to look at our gates. We need 10 different gates to win the game, so making copies of our lands won't help. But thankfully, the introduction of Gateway Plaza adding to the 10 original gates means we are less likely to have our game plan ruined by losing just one card. Now let's start our deck by looking at our ramp. Soul Ring will help us ramp our commander out fast, and since Golos has no coloured mana required to cast, this is perfect for us. Arcane Signet and Dark Steel Ingot will help us fix our colours by tapping for any colour, and Chromatic Lantern not only will tap for any colour, but allows our lands to do the same. Elvish Rejuvenator on entering the battlefield will have us look at the top 4 cards of our library. Then we may put a land from among them into play tapped. Importantly, this does not have to be a basic land. Ghirapur's Ori and Right to Flourishing will give us an extra land drop. Great for ramping, but works well with our Maze's End plan, as we can play our normal land drop and replay our Maze's End after using its ability in the same turn. Dictative Karamatra doubles the amount of mana everybody's lands produce. A bit of group hug for everyone, but our commander's 7 mana ability will allow us to make great value from this. And Sylvala Explorer Returned is another scout with a group hug effect. She has every player reveal the top card of their library and put it into their hand, but we make a green mana and gain 1 life for each non-land card revealed this way. But while ramping for basic lands is good, we want to get our gates from our deck into play as fast as possible. Circuitous Route, Hour of Promise, Pier's Whim and Temptful Discovery will let us fetch gates from our deck to the battlefield. Greenside Watcher will allow us to untap any gate we control. There are creatures that can tap any land, but Greenside Watcher fits in the theme of the deck. And while not ramp, Knight of the Reliquary will have us sacrifice a forest or a plains to search any land from our deck to the battlefield. Our deck does lean more into the colours of green, white and blue, so we should be able to get a few activations, and in this deck that should be enough to get us to our endgame. Let's look at our draw next. Our commander does have a card advantage ability that will get us 3 cards for 7 mana, but we ideally don't want to rely on this too much, as exiling 2 gates means that without an extra land drop, we will have to leave 1 in exile, putting unnecessary risk to our game plan. Gatecreeper Vine, Open the Gates, Sylvan Scrying, District Guide, and Realm Seeker are all ways to get gate cards from our deck to our hand. Adding lands to our hand wouldn't normally be considered drawing, but considering our win condition revolves around them, this is a powerful effect. Gateway Sneak will draw us a card on dealing combat damage to an opponent, and when a gate enters the battlefield it gains unblockable for the turn. And Guild Summit will allow us to tap any number of gates as it enters, effectively paying 1 mana to draw that many cards, and will also draw us a card whenever a gate enters the battlefield. Dictative Crucifix is another one of our group hug effects that will give all players an additional card on their draw step. And finally, one of our best draw effects is Tachyova Benthic Druid, drawing us a card with each land that enters the battlefield under our control. We've already mentioned that we're using some of the old Ravnian Gate themed cards to help keep our power level in check, so let's have a look at some more of them next. We shall start by looking at the gatekeepers in our deck. They all have an enter the battlefield effect that will only trigger if we control 2 or more gates. Opal Lake Gatekeeper will draw us a card, replacing itself. Ceruli Gatekeeper will gain us 7 life. Sunspear Gatekeeper will bring along a 2/2 knight to fight alongside it. Smeltward Gatekeeper will have us gain control of a creature an opponent controls until end of turn. And Ubul's Scar Gatekeeper will give a creature -2/-2 until end of turn. Archway Angel will give us 2 life for each gate we control as it enters the battlefield. Gatekeeper Colossus is a big creature that becomes cheaper the more gates we control, and can return itself from the graveyard to the top of our library each time a gate enters the battlefield under our control. Gatebreaker Ram, Gateway Shade, and Gatekeeper Gargoyle get bigger based on the amount of gates we control. And Armor Guard and Garrison Sergeant gain keywords as long as we control a gate. Lastly, we also have Crackling Perimeter, which allow us to tap any gate we control to deal 1 point of damage to each opponent. A good use if we have held open extra mana on our opponent's turns. Again, this section is to add flavour and tune down this deck to try and make Golos less scary. These are likely the first cards to disappear if we start tuning up the deck. With our main win plan focused on getting 10 different lands on the battlefield, and although mass land destruction is not widely played, we may need a backup plan if everything goes wrong. We have Regrowth and Restore. Regrowth will return any card from our graveyard to hand, and Restore will put any land from our graveyard onto the battlefield. But if 2 of our gates get exiled, we're in big trouble. Our surprise backup plan is to use Golos to Voltra and finish our opponents. Glaive of the Guild Pact is an equipment that gives Golos +1/+0 for each gate we control, as well as Menace and Vigilance. Even if 2 of our gates get exiled, we can still end up with 9, meaning +9 for our commander. And to pair with this, Hold the Gate is an enchantment that gives all our creatures +0/+1 for each gate we control, and Vigilance. If an opponent has gotten rid of one of our gates, we can use these to show the power our remaining gates still have. And if we're talking about power based on lands, we need to include Blackblade Reforged, giving +1/+1 for each land we control, and having a reduced equip cost for legendary creatures. And with all this power, we need a way to get Golos through. Way of the Thief provides us a nice on-theme answer, an aura giving Golos +2/+2, but unblockable as long as we control a gate. And Key to the City can just unlock any gates in our way and give us another way to make Golos unblockable. This also gives us a nice way to cycle through our deck for an additional 2 mana when we untap it. And finally, one last piece of equipment that will help us get through to our opponents is Gate Smasher, providing Golos +3/+0 and Trample. While we are trying to assemble our win with Maze's End, our opponents are, of course, going to try and stop us, so we need ways to protect ourselves and control the board. For our protection, we are running 2 fog effects in the forms of Obscuring Haze and Constant Mist. Obscuring Haze prevents all damage dealt by creatures and can be cast for no mana cost if we control our commander. And while Constant Mist only deals with combat damage, by using its buyback ability of sacrificing a land, means we can return it to our hand after resolving and keep recasting it. Orbs of Warding will help reduce any damage creatures deal to us by 1, but also has the upside of giving us hexproof, meaning we can protect from direct damage effects as long as they target. Sandworm Convergence will stop creatures with flying from attacking us, and at our end step we make a 5/5 worm to provide us blockers for the ground. And we have 2 classic Pillar Fort enchantments of Ghostly Prison and Propaganda, taxing our opponents for 2 mana for each creature they want to attack us with. Against a token deck, this could shut them off from attacking us entirely. And if we can't protect ourselves from our opponent's threats, we will simply need to remove them. Swords to Plowshares is our cheapest removal, being able to exile a creature for 1 mana at the cost of giving our opponents some life. And since we are planning to win with our gate alternative win condition, our opponent's life doesn't matter to us. Beast Within, Generous Gift and Chaos Warp can hit any permanent we want, but we will either give our opponents a 3/3 creature in exchange, or in Chaos Warp's case, let them shuffle their library and reveal the top card, only getting value if it's a permanent they can put on the battlefield. We have Negate and Counterspell, being able to provide us some interaction on the stack. And we have 3 creature board wipes. Fumigate and Supreme Verdict will just destroy all creatures. And we have Gates Ablaze, an on-theme board wipe that deals damage equal to the amount of gates we control. And there we have it, our Golos Tireless Pilgrim deck, focused on Gate and the Maze's End. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, leave me a like and don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned for more deck techs in the future. And with Adventures of the Forgotten Realms just around the corner, which commander would you like to see a deck tech on? Leave your answer in the comments. I'm already planning on building around a mono-coloured legend from the set, so stay tuned to see who it is. Once again, thank you for listening, and goodbye for now. Hello, thanks for staying until the end. I have a quick channel update. Apologies there has been no videos for the past few weeks. Unfortunately this is a combination of my work being very busy at the moment, and also me being ill. I hope now we'll be able to return to a more regular upload schedule. If you've stayed this long to listen, then thank you for listening for my updates, and goodbye for now.